What's going on, y'all? It's MC333 back at it again with another StarCast report, extended StarCast report. With that being said, I had another little channel, a little download, a little bit of insights I wanted to kind of let everyone be aware of the energy signatures here. I'm looking at the birth chart here on my screen, and I'm seeing a couple things that I wanted to highlight right now during this time, as it's very significant going into Sagittarius, okay, month of December. But the first three major planetary energies that we have, the Moon in Taurus, square Pluto in Aquarius, and then we also have Mercury in Scorpio, okay? Mercury in Scorpio is also forming a square, which is also forming a square to Pluto. You may notice a little run-in power trips and ego trips and things like that, especially coming from the Aries moon going into the Taurus moon, where faulty egos may have shooken the foundation of your stability. And this may have really shifted your internal values based upon who has certain power trips or ego trips, etc. Maybe within your surroundings. Okay, Mercury in Scorpio is deep water within your surroundings, so has you analyzing your surroundings and your space at a much deeper level than usual, and that's being highlighted at this moment right now. So you may have other people, for example, people, places, and things who aren't healing and focusing on these transits with Pluto in Aquarius. You may lack control, certain power trips and things like that in their lives, even in your life, to where you're lacking power and control, and that may come on to someone else to where you're diving deep and nitpicking very deeply on certain things based upon where you lack control in your life, and that's what you're nitpicking on them. And that may be a good time for you to kind of step back, and if you're noticing you in that energy to where you're more so attacking, you have to, good time to observe and really ask yourself and reflect, is things really necessary? How should I be responding to this situation? And how can I go about it in a little bit of a better mannerism? Because the full moon is illuminated and will be in the sign of Gemini, communication is extremely important. So if you're not communicating in the right mannerisms, it shows that you lack communication, and there is some sort of progression that should be done here. As without, take some time to step back and withdraw in order to find yourself, in order to find that level of communication that you can be content with internally with yourself to actually bring out externally, okay? Mercury is here as well. It's going to be opposed moon, right? So it's opposed Taurus. So how you think and how you feel isn't really going to be in alignment right now. A lot of times it's going to bring, but it's also a very powerful transit, because how you think and how you feel is in a different mannerism. It can expand a lot. Like you're really seeing, okay, I'm thinking about it this way, and how I feel about this needs to change. There might be a shift happening right now in that regard. Okay, sort of expansion, because you're seeing things from a new light based upon who has or who's lacking power and control in their own life. And that may cause you to connect, reconnect, or even disconnect from certain people, places, and things, family members, or even networks, connections, business partnerships, and associates, okay? For those who are on the spectrum of you're receiving some of this heat, some of this pressure from the square energy, have to remember that people project where they lack, right? So if you're the type to be healing or like to be progressively looking at what you need to be doing, aka shadow work and things like that, your form of shadow work and your action may just trigger those people, places, and things and energy signatures who are not doing that on that spectrum, right? Who may be too distracted, or who may be too pulled away from looking at themselves, okay, or from looking in the mirror. So you are a walking representation of what they can't be, right? Or what they can't become, what's too difficult for them to become. And that right there is a trigger, and that right there may cause a lot of anger and a lot of squaring off. And if people can't communicate in a diplomatic matter, there's no solution that's going to come from that. And if you can't discuss anything with an individual in a diplomatic matter to come to a solutionary standpoint, then what are we actually doing here? What are you actually doing with that individual? It's just wasting time, burning out, and continuously draining and pulling on your energies, okay? Very important thing moving forward. We're clearing up this Mercury retrograde. So now moving forward, Mercury was in retrograde in the sign of Scorpio for a little bit. Now that we're direct again, we do have a clear sense of, okay, how do you feel about this thing? And how much do you value yourself? And what actions do you need to take in order to possibly separate from these people, places, and things, and disconnect? Because there may be power control. And if you're putting that on, if you're attacking, you got to ask yourself where you lack power and control in your own life, okay? If you're on the receiving end of receiving from people who lack power and control, then you may have to disconnect and relocate right now, especially consider relocation within the next couple months, especially because it is in Sag right now. It may be telling you to explore new or explore new heights, or take new action, move differently, change the direction, take action amongst the vision. Okay. And that's based right now with the moon in Taurus, is based upon your internal values. So a lot of what you value right now, you're going to be standing on, and that may, your values and how you feel for your own well-being may be more important than who you have in your surroundings and who you may be associated with at the moment. Okay. It's going to be a powerful new moon in the sign of Gemini. And with that being said, these are all things that we're going to be seeing building up before this moon even enters Gemini, because this is what's going to make or break communication. Whether people can communicate or not, it's based upon who's too egotistical and what certain individuals value. If that's for you, hit that link down below, and let's get to work. Okay, people, places, and things, and in turn, it comes out into fruition. Okay, this is a new moon. If you guys are looking for a birth chart reading or a tarot card reading, you guys can hit the link in the description box below. YouTube is so you may not be able to hit the link, but if you go to the profile on the YouTube channel, mcloudsbrand.com, you'll be able to book anything. You can go over so we're on Instagram as well. You'll be able to book a big 3 birth chart reading, as well as apply for our mentorship to see if you're a fit. In our mentorship, we help artists and content creators build and scale their personal brands utilizing this information. If that's for you, hit that link down below, and let's get to work. One more thing, always remember not to fight and not to force. Flow with ease, and keep in mind that breath work and going outside in nature, grounding and things like that, keeping the foundation right, is going to help calm the energies. So whatever you're doing, breathing, slowing down the breath, tapping into your parasympathetic nervous system to help calm you down. If you're seeing people tapped into this fight or flight energy, that's going to show you on the percentage level who's healing, what's healing, and what's not. Okay, keep that in mind.